From John, howdy Klavan with an A. You probably get this question a lot, but are you really putting stock in the polls? Ben Shapiro seems to be addicted to them, and I find it mind-boggling considering what happened in 2016. It almost feels like gaslighting when you watch the overwhelming enthusiasm for Trump with respect to Biden, and then constantly hear how Trump is trailing Biden by large margins in the polls. Personally, I think if we have a fair election, Trump is going to win by a long shot, but perhaps that is just wishful thinking. Well, first of all, I almost never read the polls on the air. I almost never, I know Ben likes them a lot more than I do, but I almost never read the polls on the air. So I will not, I have to say not guilty on my being obsessed with the polls. I'm not at all. But I don't believe that they are as manipulative as the right likes to think when they show us behind, okay? I mean, especially guys like Rasmussen, who are also showing Trump not having done well in the debate. They're also showing Trump at very steadily behind Biden, not in the ways he was with Hillary Clinton, where the polls were much more volatile, and he was catching up with her and then falling behind, and they didn't watch the states enough. The poll numbers weren't that far off taking the election in general. What they were was far off taking the Electoral College, because we don't have a popular vote in this country, and we don't have a nationwide election. We have 50 elections. We have each state has an election, and that's how we decide who the president is, because we have a federal system. So the polls didn't really pay attention to that, and that's why they were so vastly wrong in their estimate when they would say things like, oh, Hillary Clinton has a 98% chance of winning the election. But I have to say, I agree with you about this, that my gut is that the enthusiasm for Trump is so high and the enthusiasm for Biden is so low that it seems like the polls are not making sense. And, Adam Mill at American Greatness has an article called Why Doesn't It Feel Like Biden is Winning? And he talks about the fact that the media is actively sheltering Biden. So why are they doing that if they feel that he's so far ahead? Why are they giving him so much support, those fake town halls they're doing? NBC was caught out saying, oh, these are undecided voters who had already been on NBC as Biden supporters. So they're just lying. I mean, they just lie. And why are they doing that? Voters won't vote to ban their new guns, he says. People have been buying guns like crazy because of the violence, the mostly peaceful violence that's been going on across the country. And so will they vote for people who are going to ban those guns that they just bought? Biden's an incompetent. He doesn't know what he's doing. The campaign is filled with toxic political correctness. History is not on Biden's side. He says it's not a small thing that historical precedent strongly suggests Trump will be reelected. Think of the last 3 times a challenger upset an incumbent: Bill Clinton over George W. Bush, Reagan over Carter, and Carter over Ford. And the intensity of Trump's campaign is so unstoppable. Listen, I don't know what's going to happen. My gut says Trump is doing better than the polls say he is, but the polls are, like I said, are not as faulty as we like to think they are. They were right about Obama. We tried to convince ourselves they weren't right about Obama's reelection, and they were. So that's why people are paying attention. That's why people aren't shrugging them off. But you're right. They can be totally wrong. They can be mistaken, and they can be dishonest. All those things could be true. And it's possible that enthusiasm will tell the story on the day. The problem is the people who hate Trump are not enthusiastic for Biden, but they're enthusiastic in their hatred for Trump. And so they may show up as well, as Ted Cruz was saying. The Democrats who hate Trump will be there. They will vote, and they'll vote early and often. And so we'll see, we'll see if Trump can do it. And Trump, he's a divisive figure. I've been talking about this for 4 years, talking about how rude he is, how blunt he is, and understanding that we needed that rudeness, we needed that bluntness to fight back against the left's monopoly of our communications industry and their demonization and their cancellations and the way they censor us. We needed that rudeness, but that rudeness is also alienating to a lot of Americans. That's a tragic thing. Those are two things that conflict, that we needed it, but it also was bad electorally. So there's a lot of danger here of Trump losing the election. We just have to face up to that and go out and vote. Don't just sit around and complain. Get out there and vote. That's what's going to tell the story. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the country. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content.